Hey guys, so I got here one of these LED retrofit light kits which you can use to update one of your older light fixtures to use here the more modern LED lights. These kits are actually pretty inexpensive, so for example this one just cost around $4 and it's going to replace the insides of one of these old fluorescent lights or ceiling lights here, and this one in particular because here the light bulb or the tube actually burnt out lately, last couple of days ago. So let's first take off here the glass cover by removing that first screw here, and then you're going to see there's a bunch of crap coming with it. In this case some piece of plastic that is coming here from the tube, so that's also the reason why I want to replace this entirely. Before we begin, we certainly have to make sure that the power to the lamp is shut off. So either you can just turn off the light switch or even use your breaker box. And then I suggest to first disconnect the wires that are feeding our lamp. Sometimes you have three, so sometimes you do have a ground wire. Normally you should have a ground wire here, but in this case there is no ground wire present. And so now we have to remove all the parts. So in my case I want to remove the entire fixture first from the ceiling to make it a little bit easier to get access to those screws and to completely remove those old screws. Of course you can just try to unscrew everything here from the bottom side of the light fixtures, but I just want to make sure that everything is clean. And I'm going to remove everything except for the middle part here. So this is of course still needed in order to reattach here the glass. And I'm actually glad that I did remove the entire fixture, because there were quite a few bugs that were just hiding behind there and that pretty much died behind there, so I was able to clean this up. Okay, so now that I have reattached the light fixture already, now we can install here the retrofit ring with the LEDs on it. So this one is particularly easy to install because this one comes just with a bunch of magnets that holds on to the original light fixture. So there's no screws that you need to use here in order to attach this. It makes this really flexible and usable in any kind of light fixtures. And then all we have to do is of course here reconnect or connect the wires. The wiring, there's just two wires. In this case there's a blue wire and a brown wire. In this case the brown wire is here the hot and the blue is the neutral. So in this case we just clip the wires together, but sometimes you have to use like a screwdriver in order to do that. But we're just connecting them with the wires that come from the ceiling. So the red wire in this case, sometimes you have a black wire that should go to the brown, and then the white, the neutral, should go to the blue. And then just to make sure that it does not get disconnected over time by accident, here I'm using some electrical tape to put everything together, and then I'm pushing the excess wire here back into the hole, in this case back into the ceiling. And then let's try out, before we put the lamp back together, if everything works. So let's flip the light switch, and yeah, the new LED ring here is illuminating, so everything seems to be fine. And then of course let's make sure before we put the cover back on that this is aligned right, and then we put the glass cover back on. Make sure the screw on the screw here tight so that it doesn't come down over time. And then as the last step, make sure that everything works fine. Okay, so yeah, that was already it for this video. I hope you found the information helpful, and if you have any more questions or comments, then please leave a message below.